Servant leadership, reinventing our culture of changing the way that we serve. The purpose of my mission is to shed light on issues that are identified through patient complaints, online reviews, and internal-external feedback in hopes of establishing a better way of serving our patients. There are far too many negative patient reviews about our ER department staff and their lack of professionalism, lack of empathy, lack of care, lack of organization, lack of compassion, lack of urgency, lack of management, and their lack of respect for the sick. These are words of patients, not mine. It is my duty to reinvent a culture of putting people first, rather patient or employee. Leaders, managers, and clinicians must work together to make necessary changes that are vital to the success of the ER department. Because when our patients are happy and healthy, we also will be happy and healthy. We must work together as subject matter experts to identify the causes of the issues and help find resolutions that will benefit patients as well as employees, but mainly focusing on improving patient care. Before I go on in explaining what servant leadership is, I want to tell a little story about my recent experience with my daughter at the Mercy San Juan Carmichael Hospital. About a couple of weeks ago, I took my daughter in the emergency room because she had an accident. And mind you, my daughter, 6 months pregnant. She couldn't walk. So when we got there, I had to park, go get a wheelchair. And these are not the kinds of wheelchairs that you can wheel yourself. These are metal wheelchairs. So somebody had to push you. So I picked up my daughter, put her in the chair, and wheeled her into the ER department, walked through the security, went and stood in line. Okay, so the check-in nurse was checking in one person before me and my daughter. When it came to our turn, she walked towards us and she asked my daughter how old she was. My daughter said her age. She looked at me and said bluntly in my face, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm her mom." She said, "Well, you can't be in here. You have to leave." I said, "Okay, I understand, but I just pushed her in. And, you don't have to be so rude about it. You can just explain to me what your protocols are." And she said, "Well, protocol is, regardless of your vaccine status or regardless if you're wearing a mask, patients, family members are not allowed." And I said, "Okay, well, now that I'm aware, I understand. So now I can leave because I just said I pushed my daughter in here. But you really don't have to be mean about it." She got an attitude. She threatened to call the security. She actually called the security to come and escort me out. I went outside. Patiently, I went outside. So, sat there waiting for my daughter. Before I left, I said, "Are you or one of your employees going to push my daughter around? Because she cannot walk. She cannot push herself in these wheelchairs because they're metal." And she didn't say a word. So I went outside. I waited for my daughter. Then the security guard came and pushed my daughter out when she was done with my daughter and then set her next to me. And I asked him, "Is somebody going to get her or push her in the next time she get called? Because I don't want to deal with that lady." And he said, "Oh, don't worry. Somebody will come out." So I sat there. 10 minutes later, triage called her name for her to come to triage. Waited. They called 2 more times. I waited. Nobody came out. So I pushed my daughter in. Went and stood in line, and here comes the same nurse. I told you already, you cannot be in here. I said, excuse me. I sat outside while your triage nurse called her 3 times. Nobody came outside to grab her. I know you have protocols, but if you're going to input a protocol and make me aware of your protocol, can you at least follow your protocol and have somebody come push my daughter around? And she said, well, you don't have to be snappy. I said, you're the one being snappy. At one point, she said, maybe if you open your ears, you would hear and understand what I said first time. Yes, her words came out of her mouth. So I was escorted again outside. I went outside and I waited. While my daughter was in triage, the x-ray department called her. The lab department called her. The ultrasound department called her. While she was in there. And that proved to me that they had no sense of communication. The attitude and behaviors that I was experiencing that day was insane. Which brings me to my next topic. What is servant leadership? And who does it apply to? Working together in serving each other regardless of status is how I define servant leadership. Servant leadership is serving each other with humility, compassion, and love. Serving by prioritizing the needs of patients. Serving by listening to the patients and each other. Serving by effectively communicating with patients and each other. Serving by finding joy and meaning in what we do for our patients and each other. Serving by supporting and helping each other. Serving by letting go of personal agendas and selfish egos. Serving by paying attention to potential areas of disconnection that may cause setbacks. Servant leadership applies to all employees, regardless of status. Why is changing our culture important? Establishing a culture of servant leadership will bring success to the entire organization, not just the ER. Why? Because we are in the business of healing, not making money. Putting people first must be our priority. We cannot heal others when we are disconnected by our own personal agendas and selfish egos. We cannot be healers when we do not listen to our patients. We cannot be healers when we cannot effectively communicate with our patients. We cannot be healers if we remain oblivious to our patient needs. We cannot bring healing to others until we are healed internally. We will not succeed and maintain in a functioning organization if we do not put our patients first. Our patients are who we serve, not ourselves, and definitely not our leaders. How do we change our culture? It starts with the leaders. Leaders must change their mindsets, their perspectives, their attitudes, and their actions in order to be a successful servant leader. Leaders must value their employees and their customers or patients by always putting people first. Leaders and employees must learn to respect each other, respect the patients, and treat each other like family. Here's the agenda. We must improve patient feedback by implementing changes that resolve negative feedback. We must improve employee feedback by implementing changes that support their concerns. We must improve communication and listening skills of all employees by implementing a better system of responsiveness between them and other departments and their patients. We must improve patient care by revamping the quality of care through treating patients and each other with love, compassion, respect, and like family members. We must improve people's skills, our customer service skills, our personalities, our behaviors by enforcing every employee to participate in taking online courses or in-office training that enhances the improvement of these trades. We must recruit experts or subject matter experts in servant leadership to help analyze issues, help strategize action plans, help implement changes, help train, help manage, help facilitate, help maintain, and help sustain the new culture of servant leader throughout the organization. We must enhance our internal system to support changes and improve employee participation. We must hire new employees, including an emergency room service coordinator, to facilitate the plan of improvement. We have to establish a bilingual evaluation and re-evaluation of patient and employee feedback in order to maintain and stay on track. We must establish a committee of SMEs or subject matter experts to act as leaders in maintaining and sustaining our culture of leadership. What does it take? Leaders must lead by example. Leaders must stay true to their words. Leaders must always inspire others through their actions. Leaders must dedicate their time and effort to lend a hand where needed. Servant leadership is activated by finding joy in serving others. Servant leadership is initiated by putting meaning behind our work. Servant leadership is established by leading and following with humility and love for those that we serve and those within the organization. Servant leaders must accept failures as opportunities for growth and must always be inspired by our drive and our passion. It takes one leader with a passionate heart to create a domino effect of positive changes, which will in turn build sustainability in a culture of loving one another in solidarity. Before I became a pharmacy technician, which is my current job, I was a nurse assistant for 10 years. I miss working with patients, and I miss the feeling of doing something important or the rewarding feeling of helping someone in need. As I think back to those years of working in the active healthcare environment, I see that today's healthcare conditions has dramatically changed. What's missing in most hospitals today is compassionate care. What's missing today is the love for the sick that was present 20 years ago. Today, I see people being treated as just another number to be processed and discharged. Today, I see healthcare workers totally disregarding the value of human life. Today, I see healthcare leaders only caring about making money and disregarding the needs of their employees, and most importantly, their patients. The bureaucracy and influence of government leaders has caused nothing but chaos to the healthcare systems and healthcare leaders. We must change the way that we lead. Government leaders, healthcare leaders, spiritual leaders must work together to lead our nation to be a better nation. We can start by changing one leader at a time. We can start by teaching everyone to be a servant leader. I can start by incorporating these lessons into my daily practices, leading with humility, love, and compassion for all.